Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to be taking a look at Solana. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor. You should always do your own research before investing money into crypto. Solana currently sitting at $86.4 billion of market cap with $5.5 billion of 24-hour trading volume, which is pretty insane. And if we zoom out on the chart, you can see that we're pulling back down to our April 2025 lows. So we're going to take a look at the weekly chart and the daily chart. We'll see what's going on and what prices can we expect in the near future. So we're switching to the weekly chart first. We can identify this ascending support trend line, and we've bounced off of it 3 times previously. In January 2023, in June 2023, and then in September that same year, we had a massive breakout. This was when Solana went parabolic from around $18 all the way up to $200, and this took approximately 6 months. So this was a massive alt season that we had. And from there it was more sideways, and we ended up breaking the all-time high, and we actually got to around $290. So we broke the all-time high by a few dollars, but we haven't had a strong move above the previous all-time high from November 2021. We did not have a candle closure above that level, so this was just a fake out, technically speaking. And what ended up happening here is we had a correction. After breaking the all-time high, we dropped all the way down to $100 below the 0.786 Fibonacci, which is sitting at $125. And that is a major support level you want to be targeting if we're going back down to lower prices. So from that low, we printed a lower high. Okay, so this is not a good sign because this means momentum is running out since you're printing a lower high. And what you want to be looking for here is you want to hold the yellow trend line and you want to hold the 0.786. So if this correction continues, let's say into December, January, we could be looking at $120, $130 per Solana per coin, and from there we could have another bounce to the upside. Now currently the target of the Fibonacci retracement that we have is at 1,847. I don't think the 1.618 is going to be met. What we did is we took the previous bear market bottom in December 2022, and we took the top from November 2021, and we got ourselves these 3 extension levels. What I would be doing is I would target $600 as your ultimate top, which I don't know. I don't think we can get to $600 in this cycle, but what I do think is more doable if we try to be a little more conservative is we can add another Fibonacci from the bottom in March 2025 all the way to the top here in December 2024, and then we get a target at $440. That's the technical target here. That's the 1.618. And I think that is doable from where we are at the moment. That would be an increase of approximately 175%. Pretty doable. I think the market cap can definitely go up by 175%. Again, the market cap is just the price of the token multiplied by the tokens in circulation. So, there is no limit to what a market cap can be, but you have to kind of look at it in relative perspective. Because the Solana market cap is probably not going to go above that of Ethereum or Bitcoin. So if you're expecting the market cap of Solana to be, let's say, $300 billion, then obviously Ethereum is going to be higher than that, and then Bitcoin is going to be much higher than that. You have to, look at these things in relative terms. So that's an additional target for you to look at. Of course, you can take a look at the 1.272 and the 1.414 as well. That's $324 and $368 respectively. And I think, again, these are possible targets, very doable targets. From the perspective of hitting a support level, and let's say we're going to be bearish for the short term, I would be looking at the, like I said, yellow trend line, and then you have the 0.786. Now let's say we lose the 0.786 and we start dropping even lower than that. What I would be doing is I would be targeting previous lows. So you just take a look at the chart on the weekly and see where previous lows are, and then you just add trend lines. So you have $87 and $77. This is, of course, if we have a strong capitulation event. If the markets are going crazy, there is some negative news that's crashing the financial markets, Solana will obviously take a hit. We might go down to, these crazy prices. Even the 0.618 is not out of the question, because we haven't really back tested it as support after we broke above it in November 2023. We blasted through it, but without a back test of support. This could be our back test if something, God forbid, bad happens, and then we have a bounce from there. So make sure to set up some buy limit orders around this area if you still think the bull market can, continue, which I think it can. I don't think the cycle is over yet. So another thing to mention is that we were in a channel up pattern over here, and now we're dropping down. And this is the natural order for a channel up pattern. Usually it is broken to the downside. With a channel down pattern, when you have a channel down pattern, it's usually broken to the upside. It's vice versa, essentially. So we're breaking down from the channel pattern, and it's possible we're going to get down all the way here to the area around $110, which is where the channel started. That might be your target for now. We'll see if the 0.786 can hold us. All of these would be great entry points for mid-term trading. I wouldn't suggest buying anything for long-term at this point in the cycle, only short to mid-term. And then once we approach the bear market and once we get to bear market lows once again, that's where you want to be stacking up. Taking a look at the RSI, the RSI hasn't really gone up to those same levels from 2023 and 24. Right, that was year-end 23, early 2024. We were in the overbought, and then we started getting this bearish divergence, and we had this correction into the first half of 2025, and ever since then we haven't really gotten overbought yet, even though the volume was doing okay. So what we want to see in, hopefully early 2026 is a massive move to the upside where the RSI gets overextended, like it did back here in early 2021. That will be your bull market end signal for Solana and for a lot of altcoins. Let's quickly switch over to the daily chart. Okay, so on the daily, what's happening is we created bearish crosses, and this means that the 20 EMA, the yellow exponential moving average, crossed below the 55, which is the red exponential moving average, and this is a confirmation of a downtrend. So right now we've entered a downtrend on the daily chart. We're printing lower lows and lower highs, and we're trying to find some sort of a support level. What we're going to do is we're going to take a Fibonacci. We're going to stretch it out from the top here, from our local top that we have at around $250, and we're going to bring it all the way down to this bottom in April 2025. So we're going to stretch it out a little more to the east there. We're going to remove the fib from the background so it's easier to see. And these are your targets to the downside. We have $139 as our golden ratio. And typically prices come back to the golden ratio before continuing the trend. So this would still be considered a healthy correction if we get down to $140 and then continue retracing or actually continue to the upside from there. Maybe that is all it takes for this correction to play out, or we could possibly continue dropping. If you lose the golden ratio, you then have the 0.786 at roughly $120, and then your local low from April at around $96. So make sure to add this to your chart. The more levels you have, the better. And on the daily RSI, we're pretty low here. So this is a good area to start building your portfolio or building your position in Solana, relatively speaking, because you were sitting at $250 just a few months ago, and now you're down 40%. And that's quite a hefty correction. Usually 40 to 50% correction is when you can start building a position. And it's the same for Solana. And I quickly want to jump back into the weekly because I haven't mentioned the EMAs at all, but I want to talk about them real quick. So we've lost the 20 EMA, we've lost the 55 EMA, and we've lost obviously the 35 EMA. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add the 100 EMA. And as you can see, we even lost that back in March 2025. So we're holding the 100 EMA at the moment. Maybe this will be our support level that ends up bouncing us to the upside. But if we have a bearish cross on the weekly chart, this could be a confirmation of a downtrend, right? And at the end of the bull market, this is a confirmation of the bear market. So here in early or rather late 2023, we got our bull market cross for Solana. And the bull market cross obviously is a lagging indicator. So it's not going to start, you won't get the cross at the beginning of the move in December 2022. You get it almost a year later. So that's why you're missing out on some profits here if you're not willing to buy when everything is red. And we could be in a similar situation here. We could get a bearish cross that is going to confirm an already occurring, correction or bear market. So if you think we're going into a bear market, obviously there's no point in buying in at these $125 to $100 prices, because from the all-time high here, if we're going to be looking, let's say, at an 80 to 90% correction, we could be going down to $30, $40 per coin on Solana if that's your expectation. But if you don't think we're going into a bear market, then of course it's a good opportunity to pile up on some coins. Let me know what are your thoughts on Solana. Let me know if you think we're going to be getting to $440, or rather we're going to down to $40 on the chart because we're going into a bear market. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and your stance on the market. Let me know what are your price predictions. Stay safe, everyone, and goodbye.